our series of videos on iOS app development. Yeah, so this particular series is focused on the development of a mime or meme maker app. It's meme, and in the last part, which is part one, we introduced the app, what it was all about, and I did talk about a meme being simply a photo or video with a block of text. It's something that is very ubiquitous in the culture. What we want to do is to develop this app where your users are able to type in or create font caps on top of a photo. So before I proceed, I just also need to mention that most of the ideas and content canvassed in this video are actually based on information gleaned from Apple's developing Swift exploration course book, and the book is currently available for free download on the Apple Store. You can get it in Apple Books. Okay, so on part two of this video is still going to follow. If you followed our previous apps, you would know one of the things I advocated was the use of the MVC app architecture, which is something that is common within the iOS community. And all it does is that it structures an app or breaks it up into three major parts: the model, the view, and the controller. So part two, we're actually going to be starting with the view, which is literally developing the graphical user interface for the app. So before I do that, I also want to mention there are a couple of things that we're going to do in this app. There are things we have already done in the previous apps, but one new thing we are going to introduce is actually the segmented control. And in doing that, we're going to add to the app three main things: the segmented controls, labels. We've worked with labels in the past, and then the image view. We've worked with image view in the past. What we haven't really worked with is segmented controls, and segmented control is something, if you have some of the smartphones you're already familiar with. It's something like this, where it's essentially a kind of control that allows the users to toggle between a limited number of choices. So you can toggle around a limited number of choices, and as you toggle between these choices, right, it would affect the object state or the view of your app, the user interface of your app. Typically, just like the buttons we did in the past, right? Segments can contain either text or icons, and you're going to see how we're going to use it today. So I'm going to go back to Xcode, and we are going to start creating the user interface. Let me close a couple of these. I'm going to keep this open. Okay, so Xcode. I'm opening Xcode now. So let's say new Xcode object. You go to iOS app and you click next. So once we click next, let's name this MemeMaker. And then you're on Storyboard, Swift, and you click next. And you create. Now it's created a folder for us. So what you want to do is, for your user interface, which is the view, you would often create it in your main. So this is where all of that happens. So you come in here, and what we want to do, like I mentioned, we want to create segmented controls, labels, and an image view. And from what we have done in the past, one place where you're going to get all of that information is going to be in the objects library. and the object library is here. You click its object, and then you click the first thing you want to do is this segmented control. So let's drag segmented control here. We've created one. Next thing, we can also create a label. So we have our label here. You can drag that. And you can see the guidelines helping you put all of that together. And then we want to get an image view, and then we drag the image view to somewhere around here. Then we also want another label. So let's say go back, label. We can drag our label to somewhere there, and then we want another segmented control, and then we can drag the segmented control down here. So that's what we have right now. So with all of this in place, we want to change the text, and let's type top, and then we call this bottom. So that's what we have. So with all of this in place, the next thing we want to do right now is to add an image to the project. So you can literally go to your search engine, Google or any of those, and type something like royalty-free images, and there are a number of sites where you can get like images that you can use that are not copyrighted or protected that way, that are available for this kind of stuff. So you click your assets. What we want to do right now is to get the meme. I saved mine as a meme photo, and we want to be able to drag it into the asset area. So that's my meme photo right there. So we can go back to main now that we have our picture in the asset catalog or in the asset folder. So we've dragged that there. Next thing we want to do is we want to select the image viewer. I select the image viewer, and then I go to the attributes inspector. The attributes inspector is this, right? You can see this back and forth arrows. So once you get there are a couple of things you want to do in that area. Go to your image, drop down, and you're going to see under project, you're going to see your photo, and that's the photo I uploaded the last time. So once we have the photo dropped, we want to check the content. Where is the content mode to be sure we have our aspect fits. It's just how the picture fits within the image view. And then we want to go to the attributes inspector. Again, within the attributes inspector, we want to, or let's actually move out of the attributes inspector and go to our size. You see this double triangle, click it, and then see the width and the width. We want to change the width of this picture to 350 and 350. So the width and the height both will go to 350. So I'm gonna do 350. So we got that. So see, it's moved around a little bit, so you want to drag it. Just a minute. Drag it up a little bit. See what I'm doing? Yeah. And then my bottom is kind of dislocated, so I've moved it around. But notice something else is happening here. The top isn't showing because it's right behind the message, the main image. What we want to do is to bring it forward, bring the image in front of, bring the text, which is in the label text, in front of the image that's on the image viewer. So how you do that is you come to view control. If it's closed or something, just click open it, and then you're going to see all of this. Now go straight to your title of your picture. For me, it's my photo, and then move it up to just under the save area. So you can see that's later, or the text has surfaced or bubbled up. So it's literally about the views, what view is in front or on top of the other view. That's all that was going there. So with all of that setup, right, we've made it visible. What we want to do next is to look at these two labels. Let's click them because we want to kind of align them. Click, and then you shift and click so that we can have both of them highlighted, and then we go back to our attributes inspector. Right, you see the alignment. Let's center them so that both of them are centered to each other, and then we go to the lines and change these to 0. And essentially what you're doing by changing that to 0 is you're just trying to ensure that the label is not limited to a given number of lines, right? You're removing that constraint. And then we want to go to font. Where is our font? Oh, sorry, I'm going back. I missed that. Highlight that, shift, highlight again, so that we are working with those. And then the next thing you want to go look for is your color. Where is our font? Yeah, we're going to go look for our font and go click this T, right? And then you want to click the system area and then choose custom, because we want to use our own custom font. Choose not one of the standard. So let's go to Avera Next Condensed. That's what we decide to choose. And for style, we can go with heavy, and then we want to look at a size of 30 and done. So you see how both of these have changed. So to make that the text right there a little more visible, we want to give it some shadow and shadow offset. So we go to shadow, and we want to or let's start with the color. Probably give it some color first, and let's make our color white now instead of black. And then you see how it looks. And then we want to introduce some shadow to it, and then in this case we are going to use black, and we will do some offsets. We do 3 here, and that has to do with the width and the height of the shadow. So you can play around with all of these things in the attributes folder. All you need to do is highlight the text you want to play around with, and then you can get this done in whatever way you want to do. So I think we are somewhere. We can move this around a little bit up so that we are within the boundaries, and then move this up a little bit. Okay, they're still centered. Let me shift, and let me make sure they're still centered. So yeah, they are still centered. So after getting through that, I think we are essentially done with the user interface. What we want to do right now is to be able to create a connection between the user interface and the view controller. So you want to create a string somewhere in the back that you can pull to make changes or to interact with each of the user interfaces. And how you do that is you go to Assistant Editor. You open your Assistant Editor. We are done with the size inspector, all of these inspectors for now. So I'm going to just come here to the top and hide the inspectors. If you want to open it again, you click here and you show the inspectors, but I'm hiding. So 2 things. We're going to drag, click, control, and drag each of these, and you see an arrow appear here. Notice between the class after the opening cursor, just right after the opening cursor, and then before the closing cursor. After the opening cursor, before the closing cursor. In this area, what you're going to do will be you create the IB outlets, and I discussed that in previous videos, which is almost like creating the properties. You're trying to model those assets or the user interfaces. That's what your IB outlets are literally doing. So we're going to do it for each of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these assets. So we'll start with the top segment control, and we will call it, so I click, control, drag. So I will say top segment control, top segment, or top segmented control, right? And I click, and that has been created. This is what was created. And then let me go to the bottom so that we have some kind of click, control, drag, and I will call it bottom segmented control. Connect, right? And then we've done the top segmented control, bottom segmented control. Now we want to go look at the labels, and I'm gonna clock, control, drag, and I will call this top caption label, right? And then I want to do the bottom part, and I'll click, control, drag, and this is top, and I'll do bottom caption label. Connect, right? So here I am. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice the IB outlets, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And if you come here and look at these concentric circles, as it were, once you click on any one of them, you can see where each of them are, the annotation of each of them. So that's how you have all 4 of this. The next thing is we're going to go to the IB action. And what the action is essentially the methods. So you're trying to create these functions, right? Or which we also call methods, with executable statements, so that whenever you click, you toggle, you pinch, or you interact with a user interface, it triggers that executable statement within the function. So, but where the 2 areas we are going to be mostly interacting with will be the top segmented, this top segmented control, and the lower segmented control. So watch what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to click this, control, and drag here, and then I'm going to call it segmented control changed. So anytime a change happens to the segmented control, that's the function you want to call. So I've stated it here, right? But notice I want this one function to control both the top and the bottom, right? So for that reason, I'm not going to create an extra function. I'm just going to link the bottom segmented control to this top. So right now, if you look, it's only showing that the top is connected. So the next thing I want to do is control connect the bottom and the top. Right, both of them are connected now. So if I click this, the top and the bottom are connected. So you're done with your view. Next thing is we are going to go look at model the data, which is your model MVC. We've done the view. Now it's your model, and your model is going to focus on the data models and the logic that drives them. Thank you, and see you in the next video.